Hi, this is Jason Nicholas Major from Biblical Cinematic Universe. Welcome to Truth, Justice, and Mysterious Ways, a podcast written and created by 2025 Jason Nicholas Major. This is Chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Viewed from the stars, it can be forgiven that we would forget the significance that God chose his people on this planet to be heroes. This is a world of heroes, many of whose stories have never been told. It is here the world finds their heroes, and here's the cry of the people who cry out to save our city. Our tale begins in a town northeast of the Windsor-Detroit border, about 3 hours away. In a small theater in Stratford, Ontario, the red curtains on the stage open. This is no fantasy. The silver-haired man in a white suit and red tie held his arms out as he talked to the crowd. He was an actor, a true artist, the great Stratford actor, Marlon Warner. Marlon worked at the other actors on the stage, dressed in Shakespearean garbs. For these are tales as old as time. These are tales, dare I say, of mystery, suspense, tragedy, comedy, action, and misadventure. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for coming again to the Stratford Shakespearean Arts Awards. The audience clapped in applause. These illustrious awards celebrate the representations of the writings of William Shakespeare, which make up, dare I say, the best of the Stratford Festival in the Canadian theatre. Now, as it may, I have absolute and divine pleasure to welcome as our first guest for tonight, here to present the award for Best Actress in a Shakespearean Play, my brother in theatre, Mr. Michael Cranston. As the audience clapped, Michael Cranston, an older 45-year-old British man with black eyes and a black set of receding hairline and a short black beard, walked in. He walked on the stage in a black suit, a black tie, and a black dress shirt underneath. He approached the podium, looked down at the audience. He smiled and sneered at them at the same time. "Stop!" He raised his hand and spoke with that thundering, commanding voice of his. "It is not necessary to clap for me at this time. Let us remember that this moment is not about me. No, I am here to present the award, the prestigious, industrious, wonderful award, I might add, to celebrate and embrace the talent and beauty and majesty of one of us, the elite of theatre, the Shakespearean actor. I am here to celebrate and present the Best Actress Award in a Shakespearean play." He paused for dramatic effect and looked over the audience as he pulled the white envelope from his tuxedo pocket. He raised it in the air like a badge of honor. Then he opened the envelope. Michael spoke loudly with his deep bass voice. "These are the names of those who have been nominated tonight for Best Shakespearean Actress." He nodded his head to the musical director on the side to cue a drum roll. Dum dum dum. "For her dramatic portrayal as Lady Macbeth in that brilliant reimagining of the Macbeth story, Macbeth Disco Tragedy, we honor tonight Heather Whitman." Heather, a tall, 38-year-old African-Canadian lady with a large disco-era-like afro, stood up and was applauded by the audience. As he raised one pointy finger on the air, overacting even his part of a host, he spoke again. "For her part in the young Stratford Theatre's rendition of Juliet in that immortal play, Romeo and Juliet, we have the talented, the wonderful, the always beautiful Alicia Burton." Alicia Burton, a young 20-something college student, stood up her red and white miniskirt and blushed. The audience clapped in thunderous approval, as she was also a recent contestant on Canadian Idol. His hand out like a stop sign, Michael Authority said, "Wait!" He quieted down. "There's more." He stared icily at the audience, as if reading the wheel of a famous dead person. He looked back down at the envelope. "For her part in the Stratford College Theatre production of Much Ado About Nothing, in the wonderful role of Leonardo's daughter hero, is the adorable, the sweet, the innocent Margot Reeve." Margot Reeve, a young 21-year-old brunette girl, sat at the dining table. She wore a light blue dress with a red ribbon tied at her waist and hoped for the best. The reviews of her show had gone great reviews, but she was hesitant to let herself hope to win. People clapped and cheered, then whistled and clapped again. Next! Michael stopped and paused, as if looking over the audience to see where the actress was in the crowd. For her role as Puck in A Midnight Summer's Night Dream in Palestine, that provocative, imaginative, and yet controversial reimagining, we have actress Ruth Reagan. Ruth, an older, overweight Middle Eastern Palestinian woman in her 30s, stood up and waved a curtsy wave to the crowd. The audience applauded. Please, spoke Michael, who said this word in a word that was both quiet yet commanding at the same time. Then dramatically he whispered, I am not yet finished. There is one more nomination. For her role as the villainous, the diabolical, the evil, the beautiful, the cunning Lady Hamlet in the brilliant, classical, respectful, perfect rendition using copies of the very original script that Shakespeare wrote. My wonderful co-star in this year's Stratford rendition of Hamlet, the Miss Susan D'Souza. Susan, a short-haired, black-haired British woman in her late 30s, wore a black evening gown, stood up and raised her hand high above the audience. The audience clapped, as she was clearly a favorite. And now, the moment you have been waiting for, the winner of the Best Actress Award. The 5 actresses nominated were all anticipating winning. Some, like Maggie and Alicia, were more nervous than others. The older, more classically trained actresses like Susan, Heather, and Ruth all had the air of superiority in their thoughts. Opened the envelope painfully slow. Michael opened up the card, then squinted at it long and hard. The award goes to... He looked around the room at the 5 nominees like a shark out for blood. His eyes focused on her gaze on Margot, who for a second almost hoped that he was about to say her name, when suddenly his eyes darted in another direction. My wonderful co-star in this production, Susan D'Souza. Susan blushed and came down on the stage to receive her award. She received her hands toward the audience. The other nominees, the younger girls like Margot and Alicia, were happy for her, but the other divas, Heather and Ruth, smiled with a fake look of joy while smoke almost flamed out of their heads in jealousy. Susan gave a speech. My darlings, I cannot express to you how much joy and gladness I have to be presented with this award. It is such an honor and privilege. I want to thank, of course, my co-star, Michael, and my producers, and Marlon Warland interrupted her. I sincerely apologize, Susan. There has been some mistake. Yes, you won the award last year, but I have in my hand a copy of the envelope. The real award this year goes to the young Margot Reeve. The audience clapped and cheered as Margot's eyes filled up with tears and stumbled and tripped as she took the stage. Thank you so very much. This means so much to me, thank you. Susan's eyes glared in disgust as she stomped off and went off stage. Michael, also upset and angry, followed her. Margot gave a short speech. Thank you for everyone for this wonderful award. I want to thank my father. He's not here right now, as he was busy this week on a mission trip to disaster relief in Kansas. He taught me if I could put my mind to it, I could do anything. Thank you, Dad. While the next award was being presented for Best Actor, Marlon went backstage and found Susan and Michael leaving the stage at the theater. They waited for their limo driver, Ron Chevy, a short, goofy-looking overweight man with balding dark hair on the sides, who wore a cheap light gray suit, to bring the limo up to the front of the parking lot. Beside them was a giant man with a black beard and hair, wearing a charcoal black suit. His name was Jack Douglas, Michael's acting partner. Marlon approached them apologetically. I am so sorry, my friends, that this terrible mix-up has happened. Please stay. Do it for me, if not for the awards themselves. Susan looked at him with disgust. Do you know how embarrassing that was, to be brought up onto that stage and lose to that amateur? Michael strongly rebuked Marlon. My darling has been embarrassed. and we will not stand for such foolishness. You are a disgrace to us as actors. We don't need your pathetic award show. We are international sensations. We only supported you out of the goodness out of our heart and our past friendship. Please, I swear to you, Marlon pleaded. I don't know how it happened. Show me the card. There must have been some mistake. Let me try and fix this. I'm sorry, my friend. I tore the envelope in disgust and flushed it down the toilet. It's how I felt my beloved was treated tonight. No, as of this night, our friendship ends. My friend, is there nothing I can do that can change your mind? Marlon asked, almost begging. Susan went into the car and slammed the door as Michael got right into his face. Yes, there is one thing. You can come and pay full price admission when we sell out of the biggest theaters worldwide of our performances. You will bow down before me, both you, and one day, your heirs! And with that, Michael entered the back seat of the car as they drove off. As they drove off into the night, Marlon heard Michael's last words echo in his head. You will bow down before me! Dun, 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 dun. End of chapter 1. Thanks for watching.